everyone, it's Vicky, and recently I played a chess game and won against international master and chess.com co-founder Danny Rensch. In this video, I'm going to break down our game and all of the key moments that occurred. But before we get started, please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already for more content like this. Before the games actually started, I introduced myself, we talked a little bit, and I got my book signed, which was really nice. Alright, so let me set the scene for you. Danny was in Austin, where I live, for part of his book tour for his new memoir, Dark Squares, and this event was held at First Light Bookshop, where it was part a book signing, part conversation, and part simul. And for those of you who don't know what a simul is, it stands for a simultaneous exhibition, and it is where a master, in this case Danny, plays against 10 of us on all 10 different boards, and he starts as white, and whenever he plays a move, then it's our turn and we can play moves, and then it just goes back and forth like that. And the time control was 10 plus 5, so it was quite a rapid game, and it was a lot of fun! Okay, so now moving on to the game, I was the second board to the right, which meant that I was the second player to play against him, and I had the black pieces. So Danny started with d4, I went knight of 6, and then he went knight f3, which is the first move that surprised me a little bit because the most popular move here is just to go c4 to take center space, and then something like this could happen. This is the Nimzo Indian, and black's point is that if you try and kick out the bishop, then they will take here and mess up white's pawn structure, and this is an equal position. But Danny did not go for that. Instead, he played knight f3, and I went d5, and then he went c4. So this is kind of like a similar situation to the one that I just showed you, except we have 2 extra moves here, and then knight c3 and bishop b4. And here the opening is the Queen's Gambit decline, and specifically the Rogozin defense, which I have not played often since people normally don't play this against me, but I have some experience bring my bishop out to b4 in the Nimzo Indian, and so therefore I'm quite comfortable with these positions. Alright, so now Danny went a3, so I took the knight on c3, he took back, and then I castled. I was just trying to play very solidly, not make any huge moves, just try and consolidate all my pieces, get my pieces developed, and then look for an attack. Now he played bishop g5, which looks quite aggressive, and I played h6 to try and kick it out. However, he played bishop h4, so now my knight is still pinned to my queen, and I can't move my knight unless I in-pin it. But if I did something like move my queen right away, then he can take my knight, and then if I take back, my pawn structure will be completely ruined and my king will be very weak. So I did not want to do that, which is why I went knight b to d7. And so the purpose of this move is that after he plays something like e3, I go b6, he brings his knight out, and then now I can move my queen to e8, and my queen is no longer pinned to the knight, and now if he takes anything, I can always just take it back. So now he went f4, which is very aggressive. I had a feeling he wanted to try and bring all his pieces really quickly and attack and swarm my king. But I just kept my cool. I played calmly. I brought my bishop to b7 to develop it. Here the best move was actually to go knight e4, put pressure on this pawn on c3, and if he did something like queen b3, then I could take this knight, and after he takes back, I can go f6. And this is good for me because if he takes the pawn, then I can go queen h5 and attack this bishop, and I have a very strong attack. This is much better for me. But anyway, this is not what happened. Instead, after I moved my bishop, he moved his bishop to d3, and here I was thinking for quite a while. I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do. I still had, I think, about 4 minutes left, and so I was just thinking he did not have much time because he was focused on the other boards, so that thankfully allowed me to get a good amount of time to just critically think about what I wanted to do. I decided to go knight to e4, put my knight in the center. That's always a strong move. He took with his bishop, I took back, and now he went queen h5. This is very aggressive. He's looking to sacrifice or checkmate me in the coming moves, but I have some strong defenses still. For example, my rook and my queen are defending this pawn on f7 very nicely. my pawn on h6 is defended by my pawn on g7, and right now there's currently no way for him to infiltrate. So I decided to take the knight on e5, remove one of his attackers, and after he took back, I went f5. And now here, when he came back to my board, he commented something like, "tricky move." I will try and find the clip and insert it here. After this, I was feeling very confident because I knew that if he traded queens, I would just have a very strong endgame, and if he didn't trade queens, then all of his attack is sizzled out and I can consolidate and actually push for the win myself. So he traded queens, which is the best move. I took back, and after this he castled. Now this is a mistake because I can go bishop h6. Now I'm pinning the pawn on c4, and if he ever moves the pawn, I'll just take the rook. So therefore he moved his other pawn to a4. I took the pawn, he moved his rook, and I went rook c8. And here I was feeling very good. I have all my pieces I'm up a pawn, and I can try and start figuring out a way to push back his pieces even more and start a strong attack. Here he went rook c2, I went a5, which is the best move, just clamping down this queen side over here so that there's no more pawn breaks anymore, and now I can just focus all my attention on the king side. Now he played rook b2. I'm not exactly sure what his goal here was, maybe try to double his rooks at some point, but at least now that he put his rooks on the dark squares, my light square bishop can't attack them. But now I played g5, and here is when he actually flagged. He just completely lost on time. I still had about 3 minutes left, and the game was over. So I won! I was so excited about that. I was actually the first person to beat him, so I could just spectate all the games and just be really happy. Yay, let's go! Anyway, this final position is quite a bit better for me. The engine evaluates it at -2.4. because when he moves his bishop back, let's say to e1, then I have a bunch of different ideas that I can do. Although it's quite tricky though, because I'm only up a pawn and it's an opposite colored bishop endgame if we trade down the rooks. So ideally I don't want to trade the rooks or else it'll probably be a dead draw. I think that here I have some ideas of bringing my king maybe all the way to the other side of the board, and then bring my rooks to this file, doubling my rooks, and then trying to push f4 at some point, and then go for the win by infiltrating and weakening white's king. But none of this happened because the game ended, but I'm still really proud of how I played. The chess.com analysis gave me a rating of 2450 and 92.5 accuracy, which is amazing. So yeah, that's my game. Let me know what you thought of it. If you have any comments, feedbacks, suggestions for future videos, who do you want to see me play next? But that's all for this game. After the game, we talked a little bit more. I got a picture with him, and I also told him I was going to make this video. And after that, he had a author book talk event, so we got to learn a little bit more about his book, his life story, and about chess.com as a whole. That was very interesting to hear. And also he kept on mentioning how I was beating him in like several conversations, and that was really funny. But yeah, that's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to like and subscribe. Until next time, bye!